Hello my Mercurial mercenaries, welcome to another PowerPoint presentation where I talk about my favourite 10 songs by a particular band. And this band, given its Oscars season and given one of the films that's up for the Oscars, is quite a fitting band to talk about. This is my top 10 Queen songs. Now, Queen are an interesting band in this country because they're kind of a band that the UK holds dear to its heart. Don't quote me on this, but I think Queen's Greatest Hits is still the best-selling album ever in this country. I think the equivalent in America would be the Eagles, maybe, sort of held to the bosom of the nation. So we've got a soft spot for Queen, and growing up, I certainly had a soft spot for Queen. And it's one of those bands that falls in and out of fashion. It just happens at the moment that they are definitely in fashion. But composing this list of 10 songs made me realise that there's so many facets to Queen. I don't want to kind of overpraise them. They're not a band that needs any more praise than they've already got. But they can be loved by many as a great rock band. And they can also be loved by many as a great pop band. And if anything, it made me realise that I love Queen as a pop band. So, given that was a massive intro, without any more further ado, let's just go into the PowerPoint. The PowerPoint. Queen, Mercurial Top 10. And in at number 10... I could probably open the can at the same time as I press the button out. Who Wants to Live Forever? This is a song that Queen did for the Highlander soundtrack. Great film. That's the "It's better to burn out than to fade away." It's a question that the film kind of tries to address, doesn't it? Who wants to live forever? Who would possibly want to live forever? Because as you carry on living, those around you that you love fade away, and you're kind of left basically alone for eternity. And yet, so that's the theme of the film. Who would want to live forever? And yet, I think I would kind of like to live forever. Imagine what you'd see, good and bad. An interesting thing about Queen. Bear in mind, this is all off the top of my head. I read something recently where it said people do not appreciate people on YouTube telling you that they've done no research. How dare you tell us you've invested nothing and yet expect us to watch you? That's not why I keep saying that I've done no research, because I do invest time in these videos. It's just that I want us to go on a journey together, really, where, let's face it, I'm hoping that you build up your top 10 and that you put it down below in the comment sections, because one day I'm going to come back to these videos and I'm going to do like a follow-up where I talk about your comments on these different bands, different songs. So yeah, no research, but I do know a bit about Queen. Who Wants to Live Forever? The interesting thing about Queen, I was going to say, was they're a band that, there's 4 blokes, right? Got Freddie Mercury on vocals, Brian May on guitar, Roger Taylor on drums, and John Deacon on bass. And all 4 members of the band write songs. And yeah, that's not unusual if you're talking about the likes of the Beatles or whatever, but for most rock bands, pop bands out there, it is a little bit unusual. So Who Wants to Live Forever was written by Brian May. Now, he's the guitar player. Now, if I've got a negative here, it's that the song starts with Brian May on vocals. And he does a fine job of it. Honestly, he does a fine job of it. And the members of Queen all sing. And if you think about some of their greatest songs, the backing vocals can be kind of collaborative crowd effect. But it's one of those songs, Who Wants to Live Forever, where I think, if you've got Freddie Mercury in your band, why do you want to sing? If you're the producer and you've got Freddie Mercury there, can we get the guitar player in to sing a bit, please? I mean, no. Just let Freddie do it. And I think in the film itself, the version on the film soundtrack is all Freddie. Having said that, Brian May does do a good job, and it is quite a sweet little interplay. And who wants to live forever? Who dares to love forever? Ooh. Who wants to live forever? When love must die. Beautiful song, orchestra sweeps in. I wasn't going to include this song. The problem is, this was another difficult chart to compile, because how do you leave songs out when you've got a band who have accomplished so much? What songs do you leave out? Let's face it, what song is going to beat Bohemian Rhapsody? Can any song, if like I truly think Bohemian Rhapsody is one of the greatest works of art in the sort of popular music world. So that's what you're dealing with. You've got a top 10 with songs like that in it. It's just it's difficult anyway, it's difficult. And I'm genuinely, I've said it so often, but I'm genuinely interested to see what you guys come up with in your charts. Because you could have a completely different chart if you get swung by the rock world or swung by the pop world. So I wasn't going to put Who Wants to Live Forever in. But then it's such a massive, beautiful, thought-provoking song. It had to be there. Had to be there. In at number 9. Okay. In at number 9, We Will Rock You. Now, this is a song written, but I think it's Brian May again. I'll have to look that up. I'll put the name of whoever wrote this song on the screen now. This was another song that I wasn't necessarily going to include. And this has happened before, where songs are so overplayed that people feel that they can't include them in their charts. So I feel a little jaded by We Will Rock You. But then I had to think back to how I felt about it when I was a kid. And there's something quite incredible about the stomping. Stomp, stomp, clap. Stomp, stomp, clap. Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise playing in the street. Gonna be a big man someday. You got a mud on your face, you big disgrace, and kicking your can all over the place, singing we will rock you. We will rock you. Buddy, you're a bold man, strong man, something in the eyes and something in something else. You got a mud on your face, you big disgrace, waving your banner all over the place. It's just when you can construct a song like that with no music. Yeah, I know at the end Brian May can't help but come in with a guitar solo, but you've got that. And I think it was like written on demand. I think the band did think about the idea of singing along in a stadium, and what can we have that the crowd can do? And it's that genius, and it's that genius that I thought about when I was a kid when I heard it. And I think for the ultimate crowd participation and the doing something different, it has to be in my chart. Now, I watched a video where Ed Dana was talking about my Led Zeppelin top 10, and he said, you know, how could you have, if I never heard Kashmir or Stairway to Heaven ever again, it would be too soon. How could you put that in your chart? And I mean, then we're back to, what does a chart include? He said a song can be so overplayed. Stairway to Heaven so overplayed. How would you put it into your top 10? I suppose that's why I didn't want to put We Will Rock You in. But that's a fine reason to not put a song in. But I think you need to take a step back. And like with Stairway to Heaven, it's such a beautiful, beautiful song with so many steps through it that I can only imagine if you'd heard it for the first time, It would have blown your mind. And it would be number one. But then you've heard it again and again and again and again and again, and it gets to the point where you've got the Wayne's World no stairway sign, and it gets to the point where, yeah, of course you're not going to put Stairway to Heaven in your Led Zeppelin top 10. You're going to try and pick a more obscure song to surprise your audience with. But I think if I apply it to this, seriously, are you saying that, so Bohemian Rhapsody won't be in this chart because it's overplayed? Is that what we're saying? It's a tricky one, but I think We Will Rock You has to be in this chart because it's just so different. It sounds normal now, but it's just so different. Are you with me? It's so different. Somebody to Love. Now, this is another song that I wasn't necessarily going to include in my chart. But what happened was, bearing in mind when Freddie died of AIDS, they had a tribute concert, and I remember recording that off the telly, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful gig. And I used to watch it, before school in the mornings on video, and I watched it hundreds of times, that gig, and there were more highlights than negatives. And what you've got to remember is that, yeah, you're fans of various bands and various singers. And the Queen tribute concert put some singers in front of you who you wouldn't necessarily be that much, pardon me, of a fan of. And yet, it either opens the door to that person's world or not. And George Michael sung Somebody to Love at that gig. And he was incredible. Incredible performance. And it's mainly for the memory of that performance of this song that this song is now in the chart. But it's a spectacular song. It's one of these layered kind of Bohemian Rhapsody-esque layering of the vocals. And it's quite an achievement. And if you think about what Queen gave to the world, it was probably some of the most complex backing vocals of all time in rock music. What that's done to a certain extent, though, is date the band, because it's not a common thing to be used. And for me, when I hear a song like Somebody to Love, it sounds dated. But I can appreciate the musicality. Somebody to Love, I think, was a Freddie Mercury song. So we've got Brian May, Freddie Mercury. And like I say, it was mainly that performance at the by George Michael at the tribute concert. There were some great performances there. There were some ones, I mean, apparently you can buy a DVD of this thing, and some performances are left off there. Robert Plant did a version of Innuendo where, he says he got the lyrics wrong or forgot them or whatever. It was a strange performance where I don't think the mic was even turned on. I thought it was because the mic wasn't turned on. He says it's because he forgot the words. In that case, he was pretending to sing. Anyway, he refuses to have that on there. But if you're like me and you had the version taped off the telly, you saw all of it, warts and all. But there were some great performances. You had Metallica there and Elton John and Guns N' Roses. It's worth tracking down. I mean, I haven't watched it for years. Perhaps it's more dated than I'd care to remember if I watched it now. But anyway, long and short of it, somebody to love. Find me somebody to love. Find me somebody to love. Find me somebody to love. Can anybody find me somebody to? Holy shit, love! Holy shit, that was a high note. Usually I record these in the evening, so I've got a chance of hitting some of the notes of these bands. But it's not the evening. I should have known. Don't even attempt a Freddie Mercury vocal like that. Next, my Mercenaries. What's going to be at number 7? I want to break free. I want to break free. I want to break free from your life. You're so self-satisfied, I don't need you. I want to break free. God knows I want to break free. Now this song is a sort of 80s Queen pop song. And this is the one that had the video that was taking the piss out of Coronation Street, who had Freddie Mercury dressed up as a woman doing the vacuum cleaning. And it's the one where Roger Taylor's dressed as the schoolgirl. He sort of turns to the camera. God knows. It looks very hot. Shouldn't admit that on a YouTube video that I thought Roger Taylor looked hot. Then again, I'm the guy that thought Sebastian Bach in the the first time I saw 18 in Life, thought he was a girl. So what do I know? But this video, I think, was banned in America, embraced by England because of its Coronation Street reference, banned in America because they're a bunch of idiots, banned because the band dressed up as girls. But anyway, let's think now. I Want to Break Free was written by John Deacon. Was it? Or was it Roger Taylor? I want to break free. I want to break free. I think John Deacon, the bass player, wrote it. It's just a great song. I mean, now, sort of having to justify the inclusions in this chart. It's a great song. I grew up listening to it. I grew up loving it. Wow, 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 wow. Great solo, but life still goes on. I can't get used to living without you by my side. I don't wanna live alone. God knows I'm gonna make it on my own. Can't you see? I want to break free. It's a sweet song. It's a sweet song. It sounds like it's written from Freddie Mercury's point of view. I'll have to check who wrote that song. I'm sticking with John Deacon for the moment, but it might be a Freddie Mercury song. I'll have to check that. Next, my mercenaries. What could be a better song than I Want to Break Free? Under Pressure. Come on, which songs are you including? Which songs are you leaving out? Under Pressure. Bum, 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 ba, ba, dum, bum. Bum, 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 ba, ba, dum, bum. Under pressure. Pushing down on me. Pushing down on you. Something else. Under pressure. Something else. The David Bowie, Freddie Mercury duet song. I think probably written by the whole band, but I can hear Roger Taylor in it, and let's face it, it's all hanging around that bass line. The Ice Ice Baby bass line. So I think you've got to credit John Deacon. Why would I put a duet that so heavily features David Bowie in a Queen top 10? It's because every time I hear this song, and it's another example of Queen as a pop band, every time I hear this song I just think it's just so beautiful. The interplay between Mercury and Bowie is fantastic. The bass line is iconic. It had to be in my top 10. Unfortunately, it pushed some more technically great Queen songs out, but it has to be there. Next. Another One Bites the Dust. This is another John Deacon song. This is a bass-driven song. This is from an era where disco was big. the likes of Chic were big. And one of my favourite ever bass lines, which is it's the one that goes ba-ba-dum bum bum ba-da-ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum bum ba-da-ba-dum bum bum ba-dum bum 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 ba-da-ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum bum ba-da-ba-dum bum. What song's that? Bum good times. Bum bum. Is it Good Times by Chic? But you can kind of hear ba-ba-dum bum bum ba-da-ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum bum. And you can hear the ba-ba-dum bum bum ba-dum bum 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 bum. I've got the wrong sound. Another one bites dust. Ba-ba-dum bum bum ba-dum bum bum ba-dum ba-da-bum bum bum ba-dum bum bum bum. I mean, one of my first memories of this song was I used to watch documentaries about music when I was a kid. And this song got in a lot of flack, along with Judas Priest, Ozzy Osbourne, Judas Priest's song. There was a time, it was mainly an American thing, where rock bands were being taken to court by the stupid Americans because they thought that there was like devil worship and stuff in the music. And there was a lot of stuff about if you played the songs backwards. And there was something, which there was a Led Zeppelin song that had, I think it was probably Stairway to Heaven. Can't remember what was supposed to be. Judas Priest had a song, Better by You, Better Me. Better by You, Better Than Me, I think it was. Better by You, Better Me. And in that, the Americans were saying that, he was saying, do it. Probably if you played it backwards. Do it. You think, well, do what? Drink some Heineken? No, do it. Kill yourself. Ozzy Osbourne's was... what was Ozzy Osbourne's? One is time, whiskey is quicker. Suicide is slow with liquor. I don't know. But Queen's was Another One Bites the Dust. And apparently if you play Another One Bites the Dust backwards, when he says, Another one bites the dust, dig it down, boom. Boom. Another one bites the dust. Play it backwards and he goes, it's fun to smoke marijuana. 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 It's fun to smoke. And what the Americans hear from that is it's fun to smoke marijuana. I mean, honestly. So that was thing. But this is a song that got Queen big. It's a club song. People dancing, sweating in nightclubs. And it was a sort of perfect song for all this audience participation live. And Freddie could strut his stuff. And just with the drums going boom, 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 boom. Just get crowd. Another one bites the dust. And boom, boom. Another one bites the dust. How do you think you're gonna get along? Are you happy? You're satisfied? How long can you stand the heat? Ow! Great song. Is it technically as good a song as something like Who Wants to Live Forever? I mean, what do you call a song here? There'll be people out there who say any rock song is better than any dance track. How can a song that's just drums and bass looping round and round and round be better than something that's got some lyrics and some craft to it? Well, do you know what? Good music of any sort has craft to it. So I think Another One Bites the Dust wins its place in this chart. And now we're into the top 4. Innuendo. Wow. So this is a later date track. This is off the last album. What I consider to be the last album, Innuendo. This is the title track off the final Queen album. Now by this point, Freddie Mercury was very, very ill. And I know that Queen are... sort of popular again now due to the Bohemian Rhapsody film. I can't remember. I think I did a video on the Bohemian Rhapsody film where I'd sort of talk about it in depth. So go there if you want my opinions of it. I thought it was popularist. I can see why it became popular. I had issues with it. I thought the main performance of the guy who played Freddie Mercury was good. Performances all round were okay. Does it matter if the facts are presented wrongly? If it's just for a narrative? I'd say probably not. I would do the same thing. If I had to take a band to the screen and sort of write a screenplay, take the essence, if you don't know the band that I picked to do a film of, I don't think it matters if the facts matter too much. If I swap some things around, change some things, get rid of a few characters, skew the years. When it came to the Queen one, it was a little bit contrived, I thought, because I remember I was around at the time. You know, the Queen were a heavy touring band at the point of Live Aid. They didn't sort of come together for Live Aid. That didn't happen. You know, Queen didn't break up because Freddie Mercury went off to do a solo album. Roger Taylor had already done a solo album. Freddie Mercury didn't announce that he had AIDS before Live Aid. He didn't even know he had AIDS. But so there was issues there. But from a reality point of view, I remember Innuendo happening. And I remember the single coming out. And I think it's the longest single that Queen ever did. And it went to #1. And it's just a majestic song. It's a really beautiful, epic song. It's just as epic as Bohemian Rhapsody. And it's got a guitar solo in it by Steve Howe, who is the guitar player from one of my favourite albums by Yes. Steve Howe. So, Steve Howe. Right. So this is... can you see that? Steve Howe there. There's a sort of a flamenco, Spanish guitar type piece right in the middle of Innuendo. And I always thought, growing up, that Brian May was playing it. But no, it wasn't. It was Steve Howe. One of the only... I think, is he one... I don't know where I read this, but I think, just thinking from memory, it's probably true. The only guitar player to play on a Queen song other than Brian May. Because if you've got Brian May in your band, why would you want anyone else playing the guitar? Just stick with Brian May, wouldn't you? But Innuendo's the song that Robert Plant tried to sing during the tribute concert. And he kind of messed it up, so I don't think it's available. I mean, I haven't even tried YouTubing it. Is it even on YouTube? But it's a massive, long song, cut up into parts. Whose song is it? It's probably the whole band. Or maybe it's Freddie Mercury. Probably Freddie Mercury. But it is the latest song by Queen in this chart. Queen did other albums after Freddie died. And they've toured with the likes of Paul Rodgers and that Adam Lambert bloke off American Idol. Don't really include any of that. I mean... Queen are Freddie Mercury for me, and that's why probably we haven't got any songs in this chart that are sung by anyone other than Freddie, apart from Who Wants to Live Forever. There are a fair few songs by Queen with the other band members singing, but, you know. #3, We Are the Champions. Freddie Mercury's song on the piano. Another big crowd pleaser. It's just a beautiful song, and when you've got the talent to come up with a chorus that is just so all-embracing. We are the champions, my friends, bound, bound, we'll keep on fighting till the end. We are the champions. We are the champions. No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of the world. You give me fame and fortune and everything that goes with it, and I thank you all. It's been no bed of roses. Who sang that at the tribute? Just that bit there. The tribute gig. You give me fame and fortune and everything that goes with it. I thank you all. It was Liza Minnelli, wasn't it? But it's been no bed of roses. No pleasure cruise. 70s song. Written, I think, you know, to play at football stadiums. Written with a bit of brains. A band, when they get to a certain point, have that knowledge of... It's hard for like a small local band to even contemplate what it must be like to have to write a stadium rock song. Or to even imagine themselves ever being in a position where they have to have a stadium rock song. But Queen say... They don't say that. They say, we need a stadium rock song. We will rock you. We need another stadium rock song. We are the champions. We need another stadium rock song. Another one bites the dust. Holy shit. Holy shit. Holy shit. What song is going to be at number 2, my mercenaries? What song is going to be at number 2? Number 2, we have, perhaps, arguably, it's definitely arguable, we have the greatest song, the greatest song in rock history. Maybe? Arguable? What would beat it? What would beat Bohemian Rhapsody? This is a song where Freddie worked on it for years. And he's in the studio and he's playing it. Mama, I just killed a man. Put a gun against his head. Pulled my trigger, now he's dead. Mama, life had just begun, and now I've gone and thrown it all away. And he sort of comes off the piano and he says, and now, lovies, it's the opera section. And, you know, and apparently the rest of the band went along with that because Freddie Mercury had a vision. And I suppose it's hard to, now that we've all lived with Bohemian Rhapsody all our lives, and I'm sure it's overplayed enough that certain people won't include it in their chart. It's normal. It seems normal to us now to go into the opera section. But can you imagine what that must have been like in the mid-70s? To put a piece of opera in the middle of your song. And if you listen to the layering of vocals on that song, layer upon layer upon layer upon layer, you know, the old, you know, wives' tale is that on the actual magnetic, on the analog piece of tape that they recorded Bohemian Rhapsody on, it was, they'd stamped so much onto it that it was, you could hold it up to the light and you could see through it. You know, whether that's true or not, who knows? But it certainly sounds like it's true. And what would you say about the song? It's got some of the greatest lyrics. It's got some of the most beautiful playing. It's got one of the greatest singers of all time singing it. It's got a beautiful guitar solo. Every member of the band puts their own little stamp on it in their own way. And then it's got that massive opera section. Bohemian Rhapsody is a little bit like Stairway to Heaven, and it builds and builds and builds until by the end you're rocking out and you pull it all back again at the end. And she's buying a stairway to heaven. Bang the gong. Bohemian Rhapsody. Yeah. Classic song. I remember when it went to number 1 a couple of times. I think it went to number 1 when it was originally released, but then when Freddie died, they re-released it. And that's the version that I owned on single. Was the re-release, sort of early 90s release of that song. And I went to number 1 again. And quite often when the British public are asked to vote what their favourite song of all time is, it's usually going to be Hey Jude by the Beatles or Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. This is a band that this nation held to its bosom, and Bohemian Rhapsody is regarded as the greatest song of all time, and it really had to be in this chart and should probably have been at number 1 because what song by Queen could possibly beat Bohemian Rhapsody? You asked the question. I'll give you the answer. This song, still to this day, when I hear Radio Gaga, it makes me feel something. Bohemian Rhapsody is great, and I appreciate it for how technically amazing it is. But Radio Gaga makes me feel something. I'm a nostalgic person. In fact, I was only accused negatively today about how nostalgic I am. Shame, really. But anyway, this is a song written sort of at the advent of MTV and videos, and the idea of visuals becoming more important than sound. Same way as like video killed the radio star kind of thing. And that kind of faded era of the radio being important. Now, bearing in mind, I sort of grew up with the television and with music videos, so I never really had that kind of experience with the radio, but with the likes of the Orson Welles broadcaster, through wars of worlds invaded by Mars. And I like the fact that it's just someone saying, yeah, you keep giving us technology, but maybe the technology is for the worse. And Radio Gaga is a song, interesting, isn't it? So the #1 song in my chart is written by the drummer, Roger Taylor. Madness, I know, madness. But the video references Metropolis, the Fritz Lang film from the 30s or whatever. One of my favourite films. And I like the fact that the lyrics to this song hit me where it hurts. The chords of the song are just beautiful. The way that the music itself makes me feel, the emotion behind the music itself. And just the instrumental break, it's probably a perfect pop song. And this is from a band that many would claim are one of the perfect rock bands. A band that could go on stage and absolutely rock out and play Seven Seas of Rhye or something. And I've put the pop song written by the drummer at #1. But if you any doubt about why I would do this, first of all, watch the video, the Metropolis video. And then watch the Live Aid performance where you've got the whole crowd in unison doing the all we hear is Radio Gaga, Radio Goo Goo, Radio Gaga. All we hear is Radio Gaga, Radio blah blah. Radio was new. Radio, someone still loves you. And it's just, I mean, I don't know, because I've never headlined Wembley Stadium or whatever, but can you imagine just standing at the front of the stage with your half a mic stand, and you look out and you've got every person in the crowd with their hands up, and in unison, it's changed. All we hear is Radio Gaga, Radio Goo Goo, Radio Gaga. All we hear is Radio Gaga, Radio blah blah, Radio. I mean, that must have been... what's my point here? What's my point? I think there's a power to a song that could be dismissed, and I think probably a lot of you out there right now are looking at this and saying, how the hell has he got Radio Gaga at #1 in a Queen top 10? Some of the songs that aren't in their top 10 you guys would put above Radio Gaga. But what you're seeing here is, I think Queen were a really great pop band, and they're constantly referenced as a really great rock band, and I think that does them a disservice. And I think Radio Gaga is one of the greatest songs of all time. and it's deserved of a place at #1 in my chart. Now, what I would say to you guys is I want you to tell me down below, and we will reference it in a future video. I will look over these comments. I want you to tell me what your favourite Queen songs are, and I want you to give me your top 10s, all right? So, on that note, I will bid you farewell. Just let me know what your favourite Queen songs are from 10 to 1. Thank you very much, my Mercurial mercenaries. I know these videos are long, but sometimes I just think we should just have a chat. Thank you. Thank you. Over? Yeah. Over and out.